A nervous wait for many Aucklanders as another potential downpour looms just weeks on from these devastating scenes. Meteorologists have warned the latest storm brewing, Cyclone Gabrielle, could be one of the most serious to hit this century.
We haven't seen a storm like this showing up in the computer models since about the 1990s for the northern part of New Zealand, the most populated part of the country. Cyclone Gabrielle, the big one that we had a few years ago, came down into the west coast, Cook Strait, Taranaki, and not to minimise it for those people because it was a very serious storm, but not as populated as the top of the country is. So that's why you're hearing forecasters say this is a bigger threat, because it just impacts so many more people.
Many of the stores here on the Strand in Auckland's Parnell got completely destroyed by floodwaters last month, and those that are still open are preparing to get hit again.
I guess like all businesses, we're going to be much better prepared this time, having had this warning. So, for example, we've already got 300 sandbags being delivered here today, and we'll be sandbagging all our main doorways, making sure that all smaller items are above at least a metre high off the ground, and all our electrical equipment and printers and things, which are all brand new now, they'll also be moved to higher ground too, in preparation for anything that might happen this coming week.
The storm has been upgraded to a severe Category 3, bringing up to 300 millimetres of rain and 150 km/h winds. The Met Service has issued a heavy rain watch for 71 hours, almost 3 days, for Northland and Auckland north of Whangaparoa. One of the latest models shows Gabrielle making a slight shift eastwards, but experts say this makes little difference to the severe weather risk at this stage.
The area where there's a question mark isn't so much about whether it comes into New Zealand, it's about what it specifically does once it gets here. So there's pretty much full consensus that severe weather is going to impact New Zealand, but as to specifically which regions and how much rain they get and how strong those winds get, that still needs another day or two to really be locked in.
Mayor Wayne Brown has urged Aucklanders to be prepared for the worst by stocking up on torches and batteries, as well as having enough supplies to sustain themselves for 3 days. Meanwhile, Auckland Emergency Management has reminded people the impact of this weather system may differ from what they experienced recently.
The addition of strong winds and storm surges will mean there are additional risks, and the impacts will compound those that are still being felt from last month's event.
The better scenario is that it's slightly further away, but please note that even if it's further away, Auckland should expect impacts for 2 reasons. One, the region is pretty vulnerable right now to further rain and wind, but 2, the system is a very, very deep low when it comes near.
The early warnings appreciated this time around.
Auckland City has learned a lesson from the previous 2 weeks ago, when we got an emergency warning about 24 hours after the emergency. So no, it's good. I think we've probably been all over-prepared now, but that's perhaps better than the situation that occurred in the first flooding.
There's a very fine line between balancing warning people of a destructive, potentially deadly storm and sounding like you're hyping it. We don't take anything we say lightly. And if we think there's a change for the better, we'll be headlining that the second we can.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald. Click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here. And head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.